Team Affinity is one of the best ways to get free rewards in MLB The Show 25, specifically diamond player items, especially if you're no money spent like me. But some players are better than others, and some are going to be more useful for you in Diamond Dynasty based on attributes. So today, I'm going to put all 30 of the Jolt Diamond cards from Team Affinity on a tier list and rank them. Really quickly, before we get into it, I am doing an MLB The Show 25 giveaway on my Twitter. It'll be announced on the full release date Tuesday, so go check that out. So starting off with the D tier, we have Johnny Bench, Craig Biggio, Preston Wilson, Roy Halladay, Hank Thompson, and Ian Kinsler. Starting up the D tier with Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench, I don't know, this card doesn't really bring anything. The only thing he can do is he's pretty good on defense, but besides that, yeah, he does have some secondaries, but he's not going to be good in left or right because he has 40 speed. And if you look at his hitting stats, they're all below 80 besides one contact number. Ian Kinsler's a little different because he can at least hit versus righties, and the clutch will help him versus lefties, but everything else, I mean, he is pretty fast. Everything else is just not good. That defense is atrocious. Can only play second, no pop in his bat, no discipline. Not even good contact versus lefties either. Craig Biggio is kind of the same as Johnny Bench, except he actually has speed, but he doesn't have defense, so you're kind of making that trade with Bench. But besides that, he kind of has the same hitting numbers. He can only really hit for contact versus left, and you can find speed pretty much anywhere. Maybe not a catcher, but he's just a noodle bat. Preston Wilson is new legend, and I've never used him before, obviously because he's new, but I mean, if you look at this card, so mid. Like, he can only hit for contact versus righties. The clutch brings him down at 55s. That is really bad. Power is low 70s. Defense isn't that great. I mean, it's not bad. Speed is a little decent, but there isn't one thing that this guy does well. Now, Roy Halladay cards are typically not that good in this game, not including his 99s, because for some reason his per 9s are just always so low. And this Blue Jays card, his per 9s are atrocious. 68 and 62. Yeah, he has a good pitch mix. Yeah, he has good control, good break, but he doesn't have insane velo, and his per 9s are terrible. He's just going to get lit up because the PCIs are going to be so big. Lastly, in the D tier, we have Hank Thompson. This is another card that literally does nothing for you offensively. Like, these numbers are just so bad offensively that he cannot be anywhere else. Moving on to the C tier, we have Jim Cott, Alfonso Soriano, Bobby Grich, Joe Musgrove, Clay Buchholz, and Matt Holliday. Starting off the C tier, we have another new legend, Jim Cott. Now, Jim Cott is interesting because he has a good pitch mix, but all of his stats are pretty bad. I mean, per 9s are bad, pitching clutch is really bad, velo isn't amazing. I think that pitch mix alone will put him, in the C tier. Also a solid stamina. Alfonso Soriano is an interesting one because he's pretty solid contact right, pretty solid power left, but the clutch hurts him for contact right and doesn't help him for contact left. Yeah, he has good defense and speed and can play second as well as left and center, but nothing too spectacular about this card. Bobby Grich, another new legend. This card is a little better offensively than Soriano, and he has pretty solid defense, but again, doesn't really do that much besides that, and he can only play second. So defensively, you can only put him at second base, and he's not insane offensively, and the clutch certainly hurts this card. I think if his clutch was higher, he'd be in the B tier. Another new legend, Clay Buchholz, is also in the C tier. I think that this card is pretty solid. I just put him low because those Ks per 9 are atrocious. You're not going to be able to strike anybody out. Hits per 9 is okay, and the clutch helps him out a lot with that. But besides that, his pitch mix is solid. Sinker, four-seam, circle change, cutter, curveball. Would like a slider. He's missing a slider, and he also doesn't throw too hard. This Matt Holliday card just doesn't really blow me away, in all honesty. Not good defense. Can't even play center or right. Only left. He has good contact and decent clutch, but the clutch severely hurts him versus righties. Joe Musgrove is kind of exactly like Jim Cott in a sense, where he has a good pitch mix, but this card does not have good velo, does not have good per 9s, but the pitching clutch does help him out. But there are better pitchers in this game. B tier, we have Tom Glavine, James Wood, George Brett, Cal Ripken Jr., Todd Helton, and Junior Caminero. Starting off the B tier, we have Tom Glavine, and I think Tom Glavine is a little better. The per 9s are around the same, and the pitching clutch is around the same. Velo is a little better, but the pitch mix on this card is so much better than the other ones below him. James Wood's an interesting one because on paper, I was thinking of putting him in A tier. I mean, he's great versus righties. Good enough versus lefties with the contact. The clutch helps him, or it doesn't help him, but it doesn't hurt him. His defense isn't amazing, so that's going to hold him back from S tier, and his speed is pretty good. But he is 6'7", and that kind of hurts when you play with him. It makes it more difficult to hit, in a sense, because you're not used to someone so tall. So I kind of knocked him down a little for that. But overall, pretty good card. Junior Caminero from the Rays. This is a pretty solid card, but you know, he's elite against lefties. He's solid in a sense, not really against righties. Defensively, not the best, but he can play the entire infield minus first base. I think this card brings a lot to the table, but isn't like insane. Now, Cal Ripken Jr., his hitting stats aren't really on par with a guy like Junior Caminero, but his defense is great, and he has 97 clutch, so that's certainly going to help him. So I think for that, you can kind of compare him to Caminero and these other guys in this tier. George Brett is another high contact guy, not the best power, but overall, I think he's a pretty solid hitter, and the defense definitely holds him back from going up to A or S tier, but overall, I think, you know, having great contact numbers can put you in a B tier. Lastly, in the B tier, we have Todd Helton, and this is a pretty solid card, pretty similar to George Brett, but a little better offensively and better defensively. But there are some first basemen that have this card beat, and that's why he's below them. Moving on to the A tier, we have Richie Sexson, Frank Thomas, Jim Edmonds, Max Muncy, Raleigh Fingers, and Andrew McCutchen. One of those cards being Richie Sexson to start off the A tier. You know, he is not the best defensively, but offensively he rakes. 103, 91, 95 with 93 discipline and 93 clutch. Contact righty versus righties is a little low, but the clutch will help him. And the vision is a little low, but overall this is an S tier hitter and a B tier. Okay, he's not a B tier fielder. He's worse than that, but overall I think this card is A tier. Another first baseman that I think has Todd Helton beat is this Frank Thomas. Also not the best defensively, but offensively he's also very good. I think Sexton is better offensively. Which, you know, better overall card in a sense, but 82, 80, 74, 96 with 67 clutch. The clutch hurts him, but I like this card a lot more, or not a lot more, a little more than Helton, but Frank Thomas's swing is also just butter. Jim Edmonds is also going to be in the A tier. Great power numbers, good contact versus righties, low contact lefties, and terrible clutch. I think that, you know, looking at his defense and his power numbers, if that clutch was not so bad, he would be S tier. But you can't ignore it. It really hurts this card. God, if that clutch was like 70, this card would probably be S tier for me. Andrew McCutchen, this is a guy who I love using in all MLB The Shows. It's such a balanced hitter. There isn't one stat that's really lacking besides vision, but overall, you know, 85, 78, 83, 85, 102 discipline, 83 clutch. The defense is why he's not an S tier, but he's an S tier hitter in this program. I think for sure, at least A tier. Now, there's really only one other guy who you can find these power numbers in the Team Affinity program, and you'll see him later, but this Max Muncy card is great. I have him. I use him. You know, obviously defensively not amazing, but not horrible. Third and first, but the contact is low, and the vision is low, and the clutch is low. If that was higher, easily S tier. Like, if all those were in the 70s, S tier for sure, but because they're so low, gotta put him in A tier. Raleigh Fingers is a good reliever, and he was a great pitch mix, you know, great pitching clutch. But I think that when you compare him to the other relievers in this program, I think he's worse. And because of that, I'm going to put him in A tier just because of that. Finally, in the S tier, we have Kyle Schwarber, Babe Ruth, Jackson Jobe, Justin Martinez, John Franco, and Andrew Miller. Starting off the S tier, we have Jackson Jobe. I love this card. 96 hits per 9, 99 pitching clutch. He throws super hard. I don't think he is outlier. He does not have outlier, but he throws super hard. He's a great pitch mix with four-seam cutter, circle change, sweeper, curveball. Control, it could be a little better, break too, but overall, this is, in my opinion, the best starting pitcher in Team Affinity 1. Now, when I was talking about Max Muncy, this was the player I was referring to, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber cards are always so awesome. And I think that, you know, even with his defense being so bad, this is one of the best DHs in the game, let alone Team Affinity. Those power numbers are very good. They're elite for this stage of the game, 117, 107, and he has great discipline with 113. The contact numbers are a little lower, but 82 contact left is very strong, and 79 clutch helps him versus righties. This card is probably the best hitter in Team Affinity and is a great card. Babe Ruth, for sure S tier. I mean, offensively, just a great card. 81 on 1 contact, 99, 85 power. 125 discipline too. You're going to be getting every check swing. Clutch is a little low, but doesn't hurt him too much. Defensively not amazing, but he can play right, first, and left. This card is very good. I love Babe Ruth's swing. I love his attributes. I think that he's definitely one of the best Team Affinity cards. Now, when I was talking about Raleigh Fingers and I was talking about other relievers that are better, these cards are all better. John Franco, lefty reliever, screwball, sinker, slider, four-seam, circle change. You know what you're getting with John Franco. He doesn't throw hard, but he has great hits per nine, great pitching clutch, good control, good break. He checks off all the boxes except velo, but his per nines are just so much better than Raleigh Fingers, and he kind of has the same pitch mix and even better pitch mix. So I think that he's above him in an S tier. Justin Martinez is another reliever in S tier, sinker, slider, splitter, four seam. He has outlier on the sinker. This card throws gas. He has great per nines, great clutch. Literally the only bad thing is the control and a little bit of the break, but definitely better than Raleigh Fingers. Definitely one of the best relievers in the game right now. Definitely S tier. And lastly, Andrew Miller is going to round off this video. Lefty reliever, slider, four seam, sinker, great per nines, really good pitching clutch. Control could be a little better, but the break is pretty good. Doesn't throw insanely hard, but throws pretty hard. Not hard enough, 95-ish. Great lefty reliever. You can't really find cards like this across the game right now. Definitely S tier. So yeah, that's going to be for this video. If you guys are new here, follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And most importantly, make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.